Mr. Speaker, just to the bill, and this comes from a very respectable magazine, Barron's, from October 14th, 2013, and it lists the top 20 most populous U.S. cities, and it gives you their debt load based off of both direct debt and pension liability as it relates to the percentage of government revenue. So looking down the list, number 12 on the list is actually Detroit, and their entire debt and pension liability as a percentage of government revenue is 372% of their government revenues. Of course, last on the list, because that's where Illinois tends to be, is Chicago. So 20 out of 20 of the most populous cities is Chicago, with its debt and pension liability 683% of its government revenues. So for almost 7 years, you could take every single dollar in the city of Chicago that's generated for government revenue and still just finally pay off your pension, unfunded liability, and your debt. And my worry here is that although I'm glad that we have a start to a solution, it's not commensurate with the scope of the problem. The problem is much more severe than even Detroit faced. The problem is greater than what the state of Illinois faced. And this reform does not arrest it. It takes 5 years to even ramp up to where you're doing where you're starting to fund it at a higher level. It's a 40-year funding plan, which is usually you use 30 if you're doing best practices. And we're not showing the entire picture to the taxpayers in the city of Chicago, what they're really going to owe, because we're leaving out the 3 largest pension funds. And that does a disservice. I would rather we come back, and if we have to do pension reform for the other 3 within 6 months, and I truly believe we need to do it, then why don't we do it all together and do a solution that's commensurate with the problem? Because Chicago is really in bad shape, and we're kicking the can down the road.